Because when you're no longer fitting in, that means you're doing it right. All right? When you're no longer like the crowd, that means you're doing it right. If you want to do anything monumental in your life, right, you got to get over this fact that you're going to fit in. Okay? Extraordinary people don't fit in. That's why they call them extraordinary. That's how you break that word down. Okay? Extraordinary people don't fit in. If you want to do anything extraordinary, you have to be willing to stick out. You have to be willing to be different. You have to be willing to do things that the average person won't do. All right? And like I said yesterday, when you start to do those things that the average and regular person won't do, you have to also be willing to face the backlash of that, right? That you're going to make them uncomfortable, and they may not like you for it. At least they will pretend as if they don't like you. But the truth of the matter is there's a part of their soul that admires you, but you have to be willing to take the brunt of that pain, to take that initial shock of being shunned, of being, talked about, laughed at, ridiculed. People might distance themselves from you. I always say, people ask you that question, who do you think you are? You think you're special? I can't tell you how many times I have heard that or heard people say that in many different phases of my life. Who do you think you are? You think you're special? Or he thinks he's special. He thinks he's something. He thinks he's that. You have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to put up with that. Because the truth is, you are special. All right? You are special. You are different. And yes, you do engender a certain amount of, the word is venom, from people when you start to separate yourself from the pack, when you start to do the things that they're unwilling to do. Okay? Because first of all, it starts off with them just being unwilling to do it. And after you do it long enough, then they're incapable of doing it. But it's not that the initial start was that you were, leaps and bounds. You just made a decision that they decided not to make. I can't tell you how many times I've had associates, friends, people I've been around where I had an idea. I say, hey, join me. Let's do this. And they didn't want to. They had no desire. But those would be the very same people, that would later, say, he thinks he's special, or have that attitude towards you, when they could have been right there with you. They could have joined you. They could have been part of the rise if they wanted to. But you have to be willing, once again, to stick out. You have to be willing to be different. One of the biggest problems we have as human beings is that we always want to belong to a group. We always want to belong to a pact. That is part of our animalistic part of us that wants to belong. That's why people join fraternities. That's why people join associations. That's why people pile up in friends. That's why people all think the same. Because people in general do not want to stick out. So you can either, go down the road that's already there, or you can blaze a new trail. Most people don't want to blaze a new trail, because blazing a new trail comes with its fair share of drawbacks. When you're blazing a new trail, no one can tell you where to go. No one can tell you where to go. No one can tell you where the mistakes are. You have to learn on your own. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, from doing it several times, that it is exhilarating. It comes with mistakes. But you have to be that type of person that's willing to get out in the front and charge. Most people don't have that. Most people are going to spend their entire lives in a particular comfort zone. Most people, you will see them, and 20 years later, they will be doing some semblance of the same thing. Even though they change careers or whatever sometimes, they're still doing the same thing. They don't have aspirations. Most people don't want to be much more than what they are. Most people don't even want to know the full capacity of what they can be. And once again, when you come around with that idea, with that kind of energy, with that belief in yourself, with that work ethic, with that vision, it bothers them. But one thing I have learned, and I learned this before social media, but then social media once again has proven it. One thing I have learned is I do the world way more of a service, pushing to my furthest limit. Because one of the greatest things I can see and read and hear is that someone that I've never met, that I don't know from, as I say, from a can of paint, saw something that I did, wrote, and inspired, and it inspired them to change their life. I posted the other day, why do you follow me? And some people sent me, a lot of people sent me some private messages, because everybody is not really public. But to hear, I think I counted it, and to the count right now, and I think maybe about 11 people plus have lost over 50 pounds. Over a dozen people have now gone off of high blood pressure medication, have now regulated their insulin levels so they're no longer insulin resistant, have now taken up a definitive turn towards a healthy lifestyle. And all that happened because I decided to push further than my boundaries. I decided to stick out. Most people my age are not on social media. Most people don't do what I do on social media. Most people are not as candid. Most people give you fancy, glitzy stuff. I keep it real with you guys. I keep it 100% real with you guys. There's no fluff. But because I'm able to be authentic, because I'm able to be who I am, I inspired people to push themselves to be better than what they were. Okay? And those are just the people that reach out. A lot of people don't reach out. I remember this guy reached out to me one time, and he has lost. At that time, he had lost 113 pounds. Blew my mind away. We never know the results of our actions. We never know the impact we have on the world. The only thing that we can do is to be the absolute best that we can be. Because you never know what you're going to spark in yourself, and most especially in other people. One of the greatest accomplishments you can do is to make an impact on the life of another human being. Okay? But you can't do that when you blend in. All right? When you get a dozen eggs, do you remember the seventh egg? If they're all the same color, do you remember the seventh egg? And that's, we talked about this one time before about people wanting to be regular, normal. Every single one of us was created unique. Think about this for a second. Identical twins, same mother, same father, born at the same time, look exactly the same. They don't even have the same fingerprints. Okay? A lot of them are different if you actually look at them. A lot of them, I have seen identical twins, very famous identical twins, who played professional sports. One was better than the other. They talk differently if you pay attention. They have different idiosyncrasies about themselves. So if identical twins are not the same, why are you trying to be the same as somebody that you don't even know? Why are you trying to copy someone else's life? It's one thing you can look at people's lives for inspiration, but you were born to be unique. Don't be afraid to stick out. There you go. Jen J says she has 3 sets of twins in her family, and each one is vastly different. We're all different. One of the greatest things that you can do is to learn that thing that makes you weird. You know, I always tell people I'm weird. Okay, I'm weird. I'm kind of weird. But, you know, I say it in a funny way because I like my weirdness. I like my differentness. I like my uniqueness. I believe that's what makes me authentic. You know? And I remember being a kid, and, you know, when you're a kid, kids are cruel. You know, this mole right here, people used to make fun of it all the time when I was a kid, you know. Until my mother said, they're just mad because they don't have a nice birthmark like you do. She said, look around. How many people you see with a birthmark like that? I was like, no one. And she's like, well, there you go. You're special. No one else has that birthmark. And throughout my lifetime, I have yet to meet someone that has, you know, a perfectly circular birthmark on their nose like that. You know, and I'm pretty sure someone out there exists, but that's not the point. The point is that we are all special, you know. And when you embrace that part of you that is special, when you enhance that part of you that is special, when you're no longer afraid to step out there and be special, be different, think differently, step back from the crowd and say, do I really like the way the crowd is going? Don't get me wrong. I don't purposely try to be different, but there's certain things that I'm just not going to do that like how you do. I'm not going to think the way you think. I'm not going to process the way you process. I'm not going to enjoy what you enjoy. And I'm okay with that. And I hope you are. Because the fact that you're not okay with that does not bother me. That is your problem. Okay? You know, and so, you know, if you want to do anything special in this world, you got to embrace the fact that, you know what? You're not going to fit in. Who fits in? Name me one special person that fits in. That's why they always seem so, you know, different. That's what made them what they are. If you read the bios of most people who were special, they were not necessarily popular. All right? They were not necessarily popular. They were awkward in many different ways. All right? I've been awkward for my entire life. All right? From my way of thinking, you know, to how I advanced through school, you know, my likes, my dislikes, my views, you know, the fact that I can find humor in almost anything. Those are things that, you know, all those things make me unique, make me different. But I celebrate those things. I don't try to hide them. And I don't morph myself for anyone to make them feel comfortable. That's one of the beautiful things about me doing social media. I told people when I first started this stuff is that I was not going to be able to do this if I had to be fake. You know? And that's why a lot of people don't even understand. Every morning when I wake up, if you guys, I don't know, most people have realized this by now, but I don't have a script. Okay, I have no script. All right. And I think about, what am I going to talk about? I think about it maybe about 5 minutes before I come on. And I come on and I talk about it. And then after that, I go and write about it and then post it. Okay? I believe that one of the reasons why people like me is because I am authentic. Every time I say something, do 100% people agree with me? Absolutely not. I'm not even looking for that. Okay? But I have a different perspective on the world, and so do you. I have different skills, and so do you. I have different idiosyncrasies, and so do you. We're all special. But when we're open and willing to look at people's uniqueness and accept it and be inspired sometimes by people's uniqueness, that makes us better. Okay? That makes us so much better. So get rid of this idea that you must fit in, because truly successful people who have it figured out, realize that fitting in means you're doing it wrong. Okay? Fitting in means you're doing it wrong. Elif says, most of the time I agree with you. Well, that's good. There's nothing wrong with agreeing with me most of the time. All right? Even all the time. It's okay too. All right? But I don't want anybody to feel as if they have to. You don't have to. I don't wake up every morning and say, what can I say today to make Elif agree with me? Is what I'm going to say going to offend, Elif? No. It's just who I am, what I think. And usually I try to give my context for the reason why I think certain things, so that people can understand not only what I'm saying, the context, but also the intentions behind it. I saw a quote one time from Malcolm X, and Malcolm X says, his greatest consolation is that he was well-intended. And I think as a man, as a person, I can always say that I am always well-intended. I do not have or harbor any bad intentions towards anyone, unless, of course, you deserve it. And that's usually pretty unilateral at that time. But, yeah, and that's all we can do. So don't be afraid to be you. Once again, we keep talking about this thing, be you, because I think that's the biggest epidemic we have in this world, is that people do not control who they are. People take cues from society of who they are, who they should be, what they like, who they should like. Sometimes people like you, they admire you, but they cannot bring themselves to it because you're not popular. Your view is not popular. I've seen some people say stuff that people call controversial. They don't like the person, but they can't disagree with what they said. We have to be open to people's uniqueness. Let people be who they are. Be unique. I hope that we can allow that to be the new thing. What makes you different? What makes you special? Let's celebrate that part of you, as opposed to, everybody trying to fit in. This isn't high school. All right? I didn't even fit in high school.